Great. All right, we're firing away. Well, welcome to the 10th edition of the Other League Pod. I'm your host, Gio, owner of the Green Bowl Packers. And to join me for the second week in a row, we'll welcome back Dre, owner of the Andre's Plantation. Dre, see your pitchfork.
Appreciate you having me. Yeah, I have my pitchfork here. The tire's a little toned down. The edible didn't hit as hard today. I cut back a little bit, so maybe we might have a little better discussion this time around. But yeah, here we are. I still have my Eagles gear on, even though we got absolutely shit on by the Niners. So for Steve and Nils, I mean, great win. I've nothing else to say. I think it was a little bit of injuries. We got hit with a tough schedule, couple tough games in a row on a short timeline. And I mean, whenever you're going up against the full strength Niners, dude, they're hard to beat, man. Their defense is so nasty. They have such good skill players at every single position that can beat you different ways. It's tough. And then Purdy's like, I don't like the MVP chatter for Purdy. And don't get me wrong, I think he's great. He's a great manager of that offense, and he's a gamer, and he's a guy I love as just someone who came up and is getting the job done. But I mean, dude, these guys have insane yards after contact. Like, you have the best running back in the league. Trent Williams is the best player overall in the league, potentially. Like,
that's what they said.
So anyway, but yeah, we got shit on. So congratulations to you guys. I hope we play you again in the playoffs, and we'll see what happens again, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least, yeah. Hey, and rightfully so. Steve wanted to talk some shit, and Nils backed it up. I think Nils was at the game, as we saw. So
yeah, that was awesome.
I'm in a group chat with like everyone from college that are all Eagles fans. So except for me and one other guy that's a Steelers fan. And basically by the end of, I will say halftime, probably realistically, there was no text being exchanged. The Eagles fans were just, it's upsetting. And, it's tough going into that. You got to know that the Niners were up for that game too, after the NFC Championship. And yeah, you'll see them again. I think those are easily the two best teams in the NFC. No question asked.
I mean, we knew we have some gaping holes on defense. The first two, I think it was 2 drives, we actually stopped them and got some pressure, and it's like, all right, maybe we have some hope. But then, I mean, Debo just getting wide open across the field, Kittle wide open, McCaffrey. I mean, when McCaffrey's just getting chunk yards every first down, like, we had no chance. And our offense was, we had to just, like, Hurts and everyone had to really be superhuman, and that's not going to happen against the Niners D. So
no, they're tough.
I would have liked, if we could have got 2 TDs early when we had 2 field goals, like, maybe that would have put some pressure on them or changed it a little bit. But I don't know, whatever. We're still in first place. They're an awesome team. We'll see what happens. But
yeah, I mean, you control your own destiny. But they do have, to your point, the Eagles had some tough games. They got another tough one this week. So yeah, it's it'll be interesting to see where that NFC kind of shakes loose.
Dude, like, how are we gonna stop Dak this week? I just don't see it happening. I mean, what's gonna change in a week?
I will say that your offense, I mean, it's a good get right spot, even though Dallas overall has been a really solid defense in terms of turnovers. But I mean, Gino just lit them up. Like, so I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's a huge game for that division and how those seedings are going to play out. But let's jump into the other league, a league that really matters.
Do it, baby.
All right. Well, let's go into week 13. Really solid predictions by us. You went 4-2. I went 5-1.
Oh shit.
Yeah, we both picked the Beeve, who ends up coming short. And then we split. I took Rick and rode the hot ship Blizzard, and you picked the Bandits. So that was really the only difference.
Wow, that's right.
Well, I'll kick off my
Yeah, go
matchup,
ahead.
even though there really isn't much to do. But um, decent outing for Green Bull. I mean, I almost hit 100, but yeah, just another. Arby's has a great team. He absolutely goes off against me this week. Second week in a row that Arby's gets most points. So he's second in points, but I think he's got like when we're doing the weekly point payouts, I think he's got like 4 or 5 now. So he's winning on the back end of getting some cash on that part of it, and his team goes off even without Josh Allen and puts up the most points. So
Yeah.
really, I mean, deep,
Josh Allen sits. AJ Brown is his
yeah,
fifth highest score.
yeah,
Like
it's
it's
ridiculous.
insane.
Yeah, he had an insane week. Yeah, I mean, starting, I didn't watch much of the 1 o'clocks. Having the Packers obviously on Sunday night. Also, little Luca got baptized on Sunday, so kept me
I saw
really,
some
really,
pics, man.
yeah, really,
Congratulations.
yeah. Thanks, buddy. But yeah, I was not too locked into the 1 o'clocks. However, I did unfortunately look down a couple times and see that Sam Laporta and Derrick Henry's totals just kept skyrocketing. Obviously, Henry gets in for 2 there. But to your point, I mean, Debo had those 2 just to kind of add insult to injury. AJ Brown had a good game. Didn't even matter about the quarterback for him. He could have plugged anybody in with the outings he got from everybody. Rashad White just continues to be really solid. I mean, I just want to highlight that point as I have on a couple pods. I mean, just surprising, man. I mean, I knew he was the number one, but this guy's like in double digits every week. Look at the run he's on. I mean, this is from week 7 on. He's had nothing less than 13. It's
Yeah, dude.
pretty
I
insane to
don't.
have.
Yeah, there's like I'll get into it in a little bit, breaking down some of the teams that are knocked out and what went wrong and everything. But like he's one of those guys where I think in the draft there's that tier of running backs that you're trying to get later on that maybe have a handle on the workload, but you're just haven't proven anything. And I'll say like I'm looking at Phil's team. Alexander Madison's another guy. Like, all right, he had that was going to be a 3 down back in that offense. Like between him and Rashad White preseason, like that's a toss
Yeah,
up. Who's going
that's a
to
good
hit
point.
there between those 2 guys? And then, I mean, Arby's took White. He's been really solid, man. I actually really like him as a running back.
Me too. I think Snyder might have said it maybe earlier in the pods. Just like he doesn't look like a running back. I don't know why he just like doesn't. Maybe because he wears number 1. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Something about him just doesn't look like a running back, and just a good pass catching back too. Like it's a home run pick, like you said. I mean, especially in a coin flip decision where you're just taking an RB1 there, just like Madison. To your point about the Vikings, and getting a guy that you can rely on, essentially 15 a week, we'll say for sure to lock it up.
Yeah,
When you guys got like Henry and all these other pieces around him. This is another thing I wanted to highlight that only with the Arby's thing was that on his side, Nico Collins, like I mean, Tank Dell got hurt during the game, but like the fact that he's going to have Nico Collins to kind of throw in, and he's got options now. I mean, maybe he sits Jalen Warren. I think he might have done that this week. I'm not sure until we get to look at his lineup. But Nico Collins is like the ninth, I think, like wide receiver 9. We'll go into it here. This is for the whole season, so take into effect what it is. Yeah, the ninth number ranked wide receiver this year. It's just Arby's has some depth too to his team, which is kind of scary. I thought
yeah.
the Achilles heel was just going to be his running backs.
Yeah, I haven't watched a ton of Houston games. Is he like a legit alpha wide receiver 1, or is he just like see obviously he's a good player but elevated by CJ Stroud? Like who would you
Yeah,
who would you
I
who could
think.
you compare him to?
I mean, I definitely think he's like a number 1 receiver. I mean that the speed up, I should say, or the progress of CJ Stroud just to start the year. I mean, a team that we thought was going to be awful, like I'm sure helped. But I mean, CJ Stroud was keeping Tank Dell relevant too. I mean, Tank Dell was balling out until he got that injury last week.
Yeah,
So, and
right.
Nico Collins just a bigger frame, like more of the wide receiver 1 type. I think Tank Dell is just a great complimentary, even though I think I like Tank Dell a little bit more, but Nico Collins, you can't go wrong with. I mean, the guy's been incredible too this year. I think like I said, we've talked about him a number of times. He's he's had some
He's just a
spotty
guy
games here and there, but
a
pretty
little
good.
spottiness, but like if I'm going up against Arby's in the playoffs, I'm shitting my pants about Nico Collins. Like just
Absolutely. Yeah.
praying that he doesn't just
Have a
blow up against
35
me,
week.
you know?
Sure. Yeah,
And he
absolutely.
has multiple of those guys. Derrick Henry, you're hoping he doesn't have a Derrick Henry game.
Two.
You're
Yeah.
hoping Laporta doesn't go off. Like Rashad White,
Yeah,
I mean,
Laporta's
he's
so
just gonna
good.
do his thing. Debo again, like AJ Brown, then Josh Allen. He's a really good team. I mean, he could
Yeah, I
definitely
mean,
compete with Anthony, and he's proven it the last 2 weeks.
easily. I mean, I think he's got a really, really good shot at this again, which I hate to say. He's the last guy I want to see win it. 100%. The last guy I want to see win it.
Yeah,
Logan might
screw
be
you, Arby's.
up there, but he's a little bit more deserving because he doesn't have one. Just I know the gloating that would come into effect if Logan wins one, but um, I do not want to see Arby's win it again. But he's got a great chance. He's got a great roster. He's really pressing Rick this week because if Rick loses, Arby's is going to definitely take the 2 seed just based off of points. If he wins, I should say. So if Arby's wins and Rick loses, although Rick's hotter than anything right now, um, we'll see. I mean, and then going just to touch on my team, not there really was much to touch on. I didn't have the guys to go off to even come near what Arby's got out of his roster, and which we noted last week. He just had too much firepower. Like the start from Brandon Cooks, that was nice to see. It was like I said, teetering last week about who to play. Plug him in. Good start. Cooper Cup finds the end zone, but still not the Cooper Cup of old for sure. They get Baltimore this week, which is going to be tough. Pacheco easily been my most steady player. They got to keep running. It's a little banged up this week. And then the only decision, which is going to be made pretty easily for me this week, Jordan Love. It's the last week. We're playing every Packer we can this week. Why not? This is the name. This is Green Bowl Packer. We got to go. We roll our studs out there to celebrate, to root for, and I mean, if one of the Snyders loses this week, as we'll get to, I'm not wearing the dress. So that's all I got really to root for this week. But Arby's again just goes off, top 3 team in the league, and yeah, he's going to be a tough out.
Yeah, I think. I mean, you're in pretty good shape. You have to. Both Snyders would have to win. You'd have to lose. I mean,
And lose by a couple points probably too.
yeah.
I got a couple points on
Go,
Phil.
go. I'm surprised you didn't play Love last week. Just
I thought about it.
anticipating that
Yeah,
that game being a shootout with KC. But dude,
I
Goff
didn't.
again. I think this was the second straight week.
It was
In the first half of the first quarter, he had
scored
like
immediately.
15 points and then doesn't do anything the rest of the game. It's so weird.
Yeah, I mean, playing or I should say not knowing that Casey's got good cornerbacks. You know what I mean? And I know Jordan Love's been hot and he's my guy, but I was like, you know what? Better chance of Goff getting like 20 and then seeing what happens. Kind of been steady, but no chance this week at New York. A game that I and Finkel Anthony will be attending. So got to play the
Wow.
Packers. Got to play the Packers this week.
Let's go. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that'll be fun. Let's go to the Bastards and Colombian White. God damn, Phil. Jesus. 67 points this week. I had a couple 60 pointers, so I can't really say much, in terms of like that was the worst thing we saw all year. But it's got to be one of them. Unfortunately, 67. That's a tough outing for any team manager to kind of look at. The only thing I really want to highlight on Phil's side real quick is the guys he makes the trade with Nils, which is kind of a moot point at this point. Yeah, I think people were raising a little more hell because Devontae Adams, name was floating over to Nils's team for scraps, we'll say. McLaurin's been fine, but I don't think lives up to the name of Devontae, and Logan Thomas was kind of a throw-in, I think, because he needed a tight end this week. We'll scroll down here. But
Yeah, he made the trade for McLaurin and he goosed.
and he goes 0. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's incredible.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, nothing really to highlight. Phil scores 67. A putrid performance from Phil's team in
He had no chance. No
yeah, no chance
chance.
at all. But he didn't. I mean, he needed scoring 67. gives me now, more points than him. Like we'll say if it comes down to it. Um, and yeah, I mean, geez, Phil's really fighting his way out of the cellar if he can, but it's a long climb. Kyler Murray, his only quarterback, I believe, on his roster, is on a bye this week, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
his current lineup's a little sketch, but we'll get into that.
yeah, we'll get into that abuse later. The Bastard scores 110, even though Herbert had that. I mean, what a weird game, 6-0. What a pathetic. I know it was raining there, but incredible score. And Kurt gets that early injury, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, he gets it done. Kamara, Taysom Hill, who's the fifth tight end in fantasy this year, which is insane. Taysom Hill, I mean, it's incredible. And then that monster game from DK. I mean, well, we can kind of like go back a little bit to that trade that he had with, or trades, we'll say, that he had with Sny. Like starting out, like Brian Robinson, I think is a top 10. I mean, let me go back to, I looked at this earlier. The top 10
Yeah,
running back for the year.
he's
Number
been real
six.
solid.
Number
Holy
six.
shit! In full, no, that's standard. Go to full PPR.
Oh shit. You're right. I did not know that. Well, even so, he's got to be close to it. 8.
Eight.
It's great.
Wow, that's insane.
So
Yeah,
really
he's so
steady.
reliable.
Yeah, just really steadied the ship early for the Bastards after the Chubb injury. Saquon he was dealing with, off and on a little bit. So, just that's been a home run. And then like look at the guys that he gets to play here. He gets DK Metcalf and Kamara. Combined 67 points from those two guys that were on Snyder's team and probably could have helped him a little bit, just in regards to not being in dead last. So yeah, it's unfortunate. Hindsight's 2020 on all this stuff, obviously, but DK, I was shocked that was part of the deal a little bit there. And Kamara a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I know he loves
Yeah, wait.
Montgomery, but
Let's. What was that? What was that exact trade again?
I'll pull it up right now. Let's go right down here to trades. So it was that was that
I
awful
think it
trade
was.
there.
Click on go to view all. You got to go. I think go to either the
Oh,
next
oh,
page or.
shit. My bad, my bad. Yep. I knew there was a button here. Okay, here we go. It was DK, Kamara, and Singletary. Singletary was actually valuable at the
Yeah,
time because that was when Pierce went down. I remember that. Kind of a throw-in guy, unfortunately, during that trade. He unlucky for that part of it, I will say. But then DK, Kamara, Singletary for Ingram, who Ingram just got his first touchdown. So that was kind of big for Snyder this week. Saquon
Yep.
and Pickens. So I don't know. Lopsided trade when you look at it now. I think even with the Ingram steadiness of the tight end, Saquon and George Pickens nowhere near, I think, Kamara and DK Metcalf, in my opinion. So yeah, not a great trade
Yeah.
either.
What
And then,
was? I mean, yeah, I don't know. I
this
don't
was the
know.
early one. He traded Brian Robinson and Zach Ertz for Gabe Davis and Tyler Higbee. Um, Gabe Davis was okay. I mean, I don't know how much we can rely on him though. And Brian Robinson that early in the year, probably, you're not expecting a top 8 performance, but yeah, tough. That's tough luck from Snyder.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't even really look at those, but that's pretty bad. I mean, the first one maybe was a little bit of roster construction, and I
Yeah,
guess at the time you could have projected and said Gabe Davis and Brian Robinson would be the same, but dude, Kamara was like an
so good.
elite RB1.
As soon as he came
And
back,
and so don't get me wrong, Saquon has been better than I think people thought he would just totally fall off, and he's been solid, but
yeah,
I don't know, man.
I like Saquon, but when you got a guy getting 13, 14, yeah, at the time, well, I'll say early when he came back, targets as a running back. Like it was insane. Like Kamara was going off as soon as he came back after that early suspension. So yeah, tough look now. I mean, Arby's or I should say the Bastards, big win. Keeps him at that 8-5 spot, at lopsided, we'll say, but still, I mean, he gets the job done and the Bastards are looking strong, at least in terms of a contender. We'll get to that in a little bit as well. So here's a matchup that we split on. I think I took Oh no, I'm sorry. This is our loss. We took the Beeve in this because we were ripping Riggs, which we'll
Come
get
on,
to.
beef.
Yeah,
Unacceptable out of the beef here.
yeah. Beeve didn't have much of a chance in terms of just like. I mean, I guess he did in some instances. I mean, he had the Devontae trade he has on bye, but 89 points. I mean, you're not going to get it done there. Yeah, tough.
I mean,
Tough
let's
from the
just
Beeve.
let's just forget about this matchup and talk about the fact
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
Steve's trade got him 7.2 points out of two positions
Yeah,
with the
that's
season
correct.
on the line, knowing he's basically going to have to make the 6th seed with most points. That's what he put out there. So, Steve, we're still going to rip on you again one more week. But I will, in Steve's defense, I mean, even I saw a note today that they're talking about an RB competition in LA.
Yeah, I
I don't
saw
know
that
what's
too.
going on with Eckler. Like maybe
He's done.
he's still injured. I don't know what's going. Like maybe he just totally fell off second half of the year and he's washed at this point. But I mean,
Yeah,
maybe I'll give Steve a little bit of credit if he somehow foresaw that, because I do know like Steve was. There's like one run that Eckler had where he looked like he was literally running in mud up the sideline. You know what I'm talking about? That replay, like he looked like he was going in
yeah,
slow
yeah. He
motion.
just doesn't
And
look
yeah,
explosive. Yeah,
yeah. So I still wouldn't have made the trade. Don't get me wrong. Um,
I agree.
you haven't had Justin Jefferson for 2 weeks, and now you're pretty much out of it. So um, I still
Basically,
would have given myself the chance with Eckler in that offense, knowing he had at least a little bit of a ceiling. But yeah, I don't know. Reagan sneaked one out. He's still. We'll get into it later, but he is in an uphill battle, but still a chance. Still a chance.
yeah. He's got an outside chance. I mean, yeah, just to kind of echo some of the same thoughts that we had. I mean, he was, shitting on the co-hosts of the show last week for giving him grief about the trade, noting Eckler's, poor performance. But overall, he dropped 12 points because of Ferguson's explosion on Thursday night. So those
Yep.
are 12 points that we'll see if they play a factor. I mean, they're noted. They're definitely noted on the pod and amongst the league. Uh-oh. Who's this?
There he is.
Is he on? Well, we'll wait till his audio connects. Who knows what he's doing in the background of this? So,
Yeah,
Logan,
let's just move on. Let's just move on to the next one. We got to get through these
that's true.
uh
That's true.
these
So
matchups. Let's just crank through them.
yeah, so we're it is what it is. Beeve comes up a little short there and pretty much ends his playoff hopes. We'll leave it at that. Let's go here just real quick with Finkel.
Yeah,
Um,
this was a really big matchup. I mean,
Great matchup, yeah.
Tiburon really needed a win to help himself a lot in the playoff picture, and he had a good week. I mean,
He did.
had a lot of guys do okay. Again, you talk about the 120 mark, puts 123 up, but just
Good.
gets unlucky. Just gets unlucky playing Anthony. I mean, the guy he's averaging
Machine.
139 points a week, so
Crazy.
he hits 144, so right around his average. And yeah, I mean, Dak started off with just going off. Um,
Yeah, he
35. Mike Evans is an absolute
stud.
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 McCaffrey doing his thing.
Stud.
ETN found the end zone. Indy D, like I was watching them. They were owning Tennessee, so that was a nice play by Ant there.
I mean, just
Uh,
insane that Anthony gets 143 with his tight end going 0. Like it's just an insane amount of points. Like it's crazy.
yeah,
So yeah, tough. Yeah, there you go. Tough loss there. For Tiburon. Big week this week playing you. So if he ends up going 2 weeks in a row with a loss, he's gonna be sitting out for sure. All right, let's rip through these.
did you draw that circle or who drew that circle?
Logan drew it.
How did
Um,
he do that?
I have no idea. I gave him way too much control. This is terrible. Um,
Oh God.
let's go into here. Let's go into your matchup. This is a pretty big outing as well. Considering two managers get over that 120 threshold. Snyder, hell of a week from the guy late. I mean, got that big week from Ingram finally getting in the end zone this week late to put up some points. I mean, respectful point total. I'll say that. But yeah, you get the job done, man. You get to 140, and it's a big win for you, a big bounce back.
Yeah, I mean, Snyder Ferguson put up that 20 right away. That I was getting a little nervous, and I will say I had a little bit of luck this week. I mean, Deontay had a late tutty. Achan had he had I mean he had pretty much every touch like late third, fourth quarter of that game and got a bunch of points. Um, so but again, I still think I have enough guys that can put up high numbers to get the job done. And yeah, I mean, I honestly like I even from last week because I've been leading a little bit in most points, at least by a small threshold. I haven't been worrying that much about wins and losses and just saying, hey, I want to try to hit that 6 seed with most
Sure.
points, worst case. So, being able to put up 140, I was just hoping to get 120, got the job done. And yeah, Snyder had one of his best weeks, but
Yeah,
came
probably
up
probably his best week.
came up short.
Yeah, I mean, Snyder's just on a spiral down. I think at this point, I don't know how many losses
And again,
he is in a row.
going back to his trade
Four.
too, he is like his season's on the line. He has Saquon on the bench. Like I feel like when he made that trade to give up Kamara, you got to look like, all right, I'm at the bottom of the league. I really need wins. Like, am I going to trade for a guy that still has a bye? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I just don't.
That's
I mean, besides the tight end position, which I mean, there's no argument. I think Evan Ingram's been great. I mean, really steady all year. I mean, not a lot of
oh yeah,
touchdowns as we noted, but if that was like the hanging piece for him to try to like acquire, I think he downgraded unfortunately in the other two parts of it. Like, okay, let's say it's Ingram Singletary swap. We'll say just based off the players. I mean, he downgraded with Pickens over DK for sure. I mean, looking back at it now, it's even worse, especially after a 40-point week from DK. And then
right.
Kamara's a PPR monster this year. Even if Saquon does have good weeks, he's not going to get the same volume in terms of passes. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's tough. He gets a good point total. I'll say that in the grand scheme of the 3 and 10 teams, he's out ahead of Phil in terms of points. So that always helps. He's got a little bit of a cushion.
yeah. I
Um,
think I'll give you a little tease here of my other segment, but I was looking at Snyder's team and I think he was just getting fed up with his tight end spot and was like, I got to make a deal. And so he probably gave up too much to
he
get
reached.
Ingram, right?
He
Because,
reached.
like,
He would beg me every
yeah,
week
And there he
for
is,
Evan
there
Ingram.
he is.
the voice of our
Get your
God.
get your camera on. We want to see that pretty
The
little
Right.
one
face.
thing you can always bet on is Eric Snyder bending over to the Baratheons.
It feels like your base is like turned all the way up just for this. Oh, there it
There he
is.
is. Well, dude. All right, listen to this.
Yes, the commish is here, and looking dapper, might I add.
Yeah, wow.
That's
That's a
nice.
nice little jacket logo. What's on that?
Nice jacket.
Santa Claus skiing.
Wow, very festive. All right, let's
Continue,
finish.
boys. Don't let me distract you.
Yeah, wait. I want to
How
go
can
go
we
back
not?
go back to Snyder. So this
Can we
is
rip Snyder's team a
Snyder.
little bit?
His draft. One of his strategies was to go no tight end, right? Try to play roulette, hit on a guy. Here was his tight end performances over the first couple weeks before he traded for Ingram. Juwan Johnson, 6 points. Johnson again, 3 points. Ertz, 3 points. Higbee, 11 points.
Not bad.
Higbee, 4 points. Tyler
Dropped.
Conklin, 5 points. Johnny
Uh,
Smith, 6 points. Johnny Smith, 2 points. Like, think about that. Like,
yeah, it's
the
tough.
the first 8 weeks, he had one game where his tight end had over 10. So he's just fully tilted. Sees Logan has a bunch of tight ends on his roster. And then
Incredible.
Logan just smells blood in the water and goes to work.
Hey, it's all about needs.
And he only was leaking blood because he stabbed himself. He If I recall, he offered me Kamara for Saquon, Kamara, and Metcalf, and he wanted originally Amari Cooper, and then he backtracked and said, "Actually, I would like to take Kenny Pickett, and for the same exact deal."
George Pickens. George Pickens.
Yeah, sorry, George
Yeah,
Pickens.
I got you. I got you. Yeah.
So you got George Pickens in his mind as an equal player.
Yep. Which I mean, I think before the Deontay Johnson like return, Pickens was like kind of trending pretty nicely. I will say that, but yeah, I don't. I mean,
I
Snyder
sold him
has
at
the
his
makings.
downturn. He was getting
Definitely.
real stale.
Yeah. I mean, that offense
Look,
is terrible.
look, we haven't broken down your first trade with Snyder, the Brian Robinson, Gabe
I just
Davis
noted it.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did that one go down?
Hold on. Let me put the insight
Why
there
don't you
quick. Though.
why don't you bring that up? We don't want to spread any fake news here with what the trade was.
Oh, we just highlighted it, but we have you back in the fold. I'll bring it up here. I was just commenting that even though Brian Robinson had a down week for you this week and he's on bye this week,
And he's
he's
also hurt. Don't forget
yeah.
that.
Well, that I was going to say the injury doesn't help, but he's been the number 8 PPR running back this year. So I kind of like was just tagging that in terms of the trades with Snyder. Yeah, it was right here. It was Brian Robinson, Zach Ertz for Higbee and Davis. September 26th
Oh,
was when
Zach.
it.
Oh, by the way, funny thing with our two with Pain Train, my two trades. Um, his Zach Ertz was he said, I'm just gonna drop somebody and do just one Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz ended up, I think, the next week scoring 2 touchdowns for me. So like immediately, like this guy that he was gonna drop. And then also with this previous trade, where it was Singletary involved, he said, "Do you mind?
Drop the
I'll
ball.
throw in." He's
Yeah.
like, "I'll just throw him in.
Incredible.
Sure, I'll take him. Whatever, I don't care." And then he turns out to be a stud for about
Pierce got hurt. Pierce got hurt that week, and then Singletary became the starter. That's incredible. Yeah, insane. I mean, just everything the guy touched turned to shit. I mean, it's a tough year for Snyder.
Yeah,
Everyone
tough
loves
one.
it though. I mean, hey, he's the champ, so we definitely he's squirming. He's in a tough spot here. He's got a couple points on Phil. Tough one here. Let's touch on this
Wait, I
matchup.
want to
I think
go.
this.
Wait, I want to go back. Logue. So did you
Oh,
initiate
okay.
that
Oh
one?
yeah.
Did he
Sorry.
bring
Go
that
ahead.
to you? How did that one go down? Because I know, I mean, I'm looking at Gabe Davis. He played the Jets, had 5 points week one, had a good game week two, 7 targets, 6 catches, 92 yards, and a touch. Then he caught another touchdown in Washington, and that was the week you traded him. So I think it was 1 catch, 35 yards, and a touchdown. You probably saw, hey, this guy's way too like up and down. I got to get rid of him. So you probably started shopping him, and then how did you end up with Snyder and Brian Robinson?
Uh, it was pretty much the same tactic I usually take with Paint Train. I will throw some, and he'll probably end up missing this segment. Even if he hears this, it'll be out out of all memory within a few weeks. So I'm not worried if I spill the beans on how I work these. I usually start with a player that I know he kind of likes that I'm on my team, and preferably I try after a couple of hot weeks because he's very impressionable. That's one thing about Pain Training. He gets very excited. That might be his downfall. He got very excited about. Remind me the
Gabe
transaction
Davis,
now, but for on his team,
Brian Robinson, and Ertz to you
right? It
for
was
Gabe
the Earth,
Davis and
right?
Higby.
Yeah, worthless. Okay, yeah, yeah. He, I'm not really sure why he. I recall him talking about Gabe Davis. He didn't like my Gabe Davis pick at the draft, so he must have came off a 20-point week, and
Probably
he
what
was
it was.
excited. He was very excited about the Bills, and said they were the best team in the NFL. I believe he said.
Barely 500 now.
So
Poor
to answer
Sly.
your question very quickly, I throw a player out there and see what I can potentially get. I it's really simple. Go down the roster, like, could I maybe dump this guy for somebody else? And usually out of his trash, I get something that ends up benefiting me. But it's not too hard. So you
And
guys should,
what's so interesting? Like I'm looking at Snyder's lineup, and we don't need to pile it on Snyder here. I'm more so just this is out of curiosity, but like
of
he had in week 3. So this happened after week 3. He had Jefferson, DK, and Zay Flowers in his flex. So he had and Garrett Wilson was on his bench. So he had 4 solid wide receivers. And he had Brian Robinson and was starting Kendre Miller because Montgomery was hurt and Kamara wasn't back yet. So like why he wanted to get another receiver.
Dump Brian
Um
Robinson.
yeah, I don't
Makes
know.
no
I mean, yeah,
sense.
Hey man, jokes
I guess
on
he
me though.
just
The guy gets hurt week 13. He has a bye, of
Yeah.
course, 14, and pretty much going to be out for a few more weeks, along with 3 other of my starters. So,
Is
um,
he? Man, we'll get to that, I
at
guess.
least I'm
yeah.
going against the best team in the league by far, Finkel.
Yeah, he's good. Tough week.
Props to him. Props to him.
Um,
And my condolences in advance because the best team never wins.
yeah, we're gonna keep reiterating it until we get to the final. Quick note on this: we'll get over. Rick is the hottest fucking team besides Finkel. He's rolling. I think this is third or fourth win in a row.
Yeah,
144,
shit.
close to the total. He's fucking. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really to note that's necessarily a glaring hole for him. He's got Diggs coming back. He's got Cook coming back. I mean, you can note Josh Downs as a potential issue for him in terms of the flex this week, but look what everyone else did. And Mahomes only put up 15, so hell of a week from Rick. 144 is a hell of a total, and Bandits put up a good fight. Puts up 118, but ran into a buzzsaw this week. I mean, 31 from Chase. The guy, every time the ball was thrown, I think it went to Chase. 31. That was a huge week for him, and nothing else to necessarily note from the Bandits' perspective. Everyone else, I mean, kind of
Yeah,
does their
just
part.
solid week. Not spectacular, not bad.
So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll recap it there. I mean, Rick's hot. Rick's looking like he's gonna get a bye as long as he does what he needs to do. All right, let's go to week 14.
And before we go to week 14, I'd like to take a break here and allow a message from our sponsors. Copenhagen Wintergreen pouches. They hit you hard and they get you high. And it's especially good when you put a couple more in than just one. Copenhagen pouches, wintergreen is what I draft and dip.
This is great. All right, we got some really good sponsors.
Nice.
At least the pod's been doing well.
Yeah, I like
should
that.
should we before we break down week 14? Do you want to do before or kind of during, Andy? You wanted to take a little recap of some teams in the other league that
Yeah, I think
were a little less fortunate than most.
Yeah, I wanted there's 4 teams that are eliminated, and I was just again this past week looking back at those teams, thinking about what really went wrong. Was it the draft? Was it injuries? So I broke it down a little bit. I figured we'll give them a little bit of shout out here, and then we'll kill them off. They're done. So I guess we could maybe. Who do you want to start with? You want to start with Colombian White in the 12th seed, or
I think we got to start bottom to top. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, so looking back at Phil's team, like he really just never had a chance. Like there were like really not any good things that came from his team. And that's not to say he had a bad draft or anything, just no one really overperformed. I mean, he started at disadvantage because he traded his 5th round pick to me. We swapped 5th and 8th, so he didn't have that. And then his first 4 rounds were Kelsey, who he kept, Devontae in 2, Ken Walker in 3, and Madison in 4. Again, not bad picks. And I mean, Ken Walker's actually been pretty decent, but like Kelsey, like he kept him in 1, which was the right play. Like he was far and above the best tight end for probably the last 2 years. Like the tight end position was so poor. And he just got I feel like unlucky this year. I mean, Kelsey hasn't been his elite self. And there's just been so many other good tight ends. So having that advantage at the position just really hasn't been there this year. And then Devontae Adams, like he's been a total disappointment. I mean, you had him last year and he totally went off in
Yeah,
Vegas.
car.
So
Yeah.
I don't know what went wrong this year, but I mean, you need him to be a wide receiver 1, and he's maybe a wide receiver 2 at this point.
There's a lot of questionable draft moves by Colombian White. We'll start there, and I think highlight the whole thing. He drafted Desmond Ritter at one of his picks. I mean, just to highlight how just subpar, we'll say, to start your team with was his draft. And trading away obviously a 5th rounder is tough, but it's not a great start. That's kind of where you kind of make or break some of your flex options, your depth. It's not a good start you want to do. And like I said, he besides Kelsey and Adams, I mean, what other pieces besides those 2 guys in terms of name value did he really have without any breakout guys, like you said? So yeah, I mean, tough season for Colombian White.
He did draft. So he drafted Dak and just didn't have the patience to hold on to him.
It's true.
He dropped him a couple of weeks in. He did hit on Cortland Sutton, which he's been really solid in the 7th round.
Yep.
So I'll give him that. But yeah, I mean, he didn't hit on any studs, and he didn't draft enough even filling guys to have a well-rounded team that could potentially compete. So it was just, I mean, it wasn't even really injuries. Ken Walker got injured a little bit here second half of the year, but yeah, Phil just try again next year. Looking at his keepers, like he has Sutton in 7. Maybe you keep him to run it back with Russ for another year, or Ken Walker maybe in 3. I don't know. He's another one of those polarizing guys. I feel like I think he's pretty good. He's fucking monster back there, but just can't really stay healthy. And they drafted that other guy,
Charbonnet.
Yeah, whatever his name is, to get in there. So I don't know, but yeah, he has maybe those 2 options, or yeah, not getting a great head start for next year either. But
he didn't trade any of his draft picks.
Yeah. So Snyder, Phil, dead. See you later.
Goodbye.
It's pretty common for those 2 franchises, isn't it?
What's that?
Huh?
What did you say?
I said, which is pretty common for those 2 franchises. I'm used to seeing them in the basement.
Who's the second one?
Yeah.
The Beeve?
Huh?
No,
the second
Eric. The two Snyders.
Okay.
Snyders,
okay.
Yeah, fucking Snyders, same blood.
I didn't know that Andy was jumping next to the Snyder.
I'll go to Eric next. Let's see. Let's just stack Snyders here. So definitely the most interesting of the shit teams this year. I think when you look at the players he has and drafted, like I'm actually surprised he's at the bottom, but just a series of, I think, unfortunate injuries and maybe some bad trades. But bad I thought he'd be maybe more on the Creek level, where he wouldn't be competing for the dress. Maybe just that point where he's not going to make the playoffs. But I mean, he went 0 RB. He took Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, who again, when Rodgers was there, I still think he's like a top 10 fantasy receiver, and then Metcalf, which was a nice wide receiver room. And then he hit on all 3 RBs. So he had Kamara, who again, he was out for 4 weeks, but he's RB1. Montgomery, RB1. Well, he was at least for the first half of the year. And then Brian Robinson. So he had a lot of guys there. He picked Flowers too, who's been solid, and Anthony Richardson, who that was
a tough loss. Yeah.
Yeah, he was really starting to look like an elite option. But again, it was, I think what came back to bite him was he went no quarterback and no tight ends, which again, I think that's a fairly common strategy, but he just couldn't put it together. I mean, he had some hope with Richardson there, but it just didn't work out. Like I talked about his tight end points, what he had. Like I was looking at his QB too. So these were his QB point totals per week. Week 1, Geno Smith 11, Anthony Richardson 18, Geno 17, Richardson 34, Richardson 4, Trevor 18, Geno 18, Trevor 18, Geno 3, Trevor 2, Geno 15, Justin Fields 11. So like
Jesus.
you just think like you're going up against Arby's or myself with Hertz, like you're getting 25, 30 points a week. Like you're just you can't compete, you know?
It's a huge hole. I will say just a general statement on Snyder's season. I do think he may have had one of the best drafts. Looking at a top to
he
bottom,
really did.
Yeah,
he had a very complete team. Garrett Wilson thing, I mean, super unlucky. But just going by the draft, really good. I mean, Kamara, Montgomery, Brian Robinson.
And he didn't have his 6th round pick either. He traded that to me too. So he didn't have a 6th rounder.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So I will say
injuries
that
hurt him.
he knows his shit. He does. He's smart. He has a flaw, and that's getting too excited, which leads to self-destruction. So we are going to summarize and title this season for Eric Snyder, self-destruction.
I like that. What do you got? So for Eric, his keeper options. He has Day Flowers in 8, David Montgomery in the 5th, Anthony Richardson in the 10th, or Garrett Wilson maybe in the 2nd. If Rodgers is back. And if he has a high pick, that'd be a late 2nd rounder.
Those are good. Those are all good keeper options. I mean,
he has some options there.
Garrett Wilson probably is a leader just because he's a Jets homer. So, I think all eggs are be in one basket again for him in terms of like Aaron Rodgers coming back. That team's going to have some hype again. And I think Garrett Wilson could be really good. I don't know how good he's going to be in terms of like if he's a 2nd round pick, but I think that's probably where he'll lean, or Richardson. I think Richardson in the 10 is a good spot. The other two are really good too, but I think it's between those two, I think, for him. I'm going to guess.
Yeah, I agree.
He's got Kamara as an option too.
No, traded.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, at least he has Brian Robinson. Maybe Metcalf in 3.
Gone.
Oh shit! Self-destruction.
Not great.
I love
should we do the B before me, just because then I can at least give it some
let's hit
insight
the
as to how shit my season was.
Yeah, I mean the Beeve, honestly, like he's had a little bit of a resurgence, mainly led by CD. The moral of the story is kind of like Phil. He just didn't hit on another guy. Like he did hit on CD. CD's an absolute monster, and that's why he's not gonna wear the dress. But he started the draft CD, Chris Olave, Najee Harris, and Waddle. And I mean, other than CD, like Olave and Waddle have been solid but unspectacular. So again, I think if you have enough solid pieces you can stack together, you can still win. But after that, he took Trevor in 5, which he didn't end up being that like wide QB1 who you thought maybe he could become this year. Then Miles Sanders,
that's far too early to take Trevor Lawrence.
Agreed. I would agree with that. Yeah.
I will say though, but if you go back, and we don't have the board up, but there were a ton of QBs gone at that point. A lot of QBs went early. I was looking. He was the best. He was the best QB available at the time. So I think it was maybe he wanted a QB, and that's the only guy that was left.
And I will say, just a note on strategies and draft strategies. We've talked about it a little bit with Nils and was his Achilles heel for a little bit, and then Stevenson from New England actually rounded out to being pretty good. I mean, he's not playing tonight, obviously, with injury, but he went wide receiver. And to your point, those 3 wide receivers weren't heavy enough to carry the load for his team. CDU did his part. Obviously, we noted him. He's top 5 wide receiver for sure. Had some monster weeks, but Olave was a number 1, but their quarterback situation was so shitty that he was capped. He was really never going to get more than 20, if that, a week. And I don't
Yeah.
even touch that. And Waddle is just not the guy. I mean, he's a secondary piece, but the gap between him and Tyreek is substantial, which we've noted probably more so this year than any year in that offense. I mean, he's capped because Tyreek's so good. He's gonna get so many looks. Not that they're just taken away from the fact that they have Tyreek. So yeah, it's just a tough start in the draft there for him. And as you noted, Lawrence, I mean, that could have been just something that, hey, I want to shore up my quarterback spot since he knew that his running backs probably weren't going to be as good. I mean, Najee Harris, nobody really wanted to touch him. I feel like he just kept dropping and dropping as that draft went on. So yeah, it's a tough process.
He just didn't hit on enough guys.
What's his keeper? What are his keeper options, Andy? I guess he didn't really. Well, he had that trade with Aaron.
He is CD in one.
Yeah,
that was pretty much all I came up with. Or honestly, he took Dallas's D. Maybe you keep them. I mean, they've been pretty.
Yeah,
they've been pretty.
Baltimore's D too. Yeah, honestly,
some big weeks.
I mean, that would be the most unthinkable thing I've ever heard of, is a manager keeping a defense. But hey, that would be something for the other league to see. I just think you gotta. I mean, it's a surefire. I mean, I overthought it this year. If you have a guy like CeeDee Lamb or like Tyreek Hill, it doesn't matter where you keep them. You just got to keep those guys. I mean, those guys are the guys that can put up 40 a week. I mean, there's not a lot of guys that can do that.
Yeah.
And
all right, let's get to the
bullback. I'll summarize his season here. You never gave yourself a chance after the draft. This is one of the worst drafts I've seen for running back. There is absolutely nobody. So that's what buried you. You had CeeDee Lamb kind of fucked you in the beginning because he was kind of slow, but now he's a stud. Olave's been good, and Waddle's fine. I mean, everybody else, good Lord. This is you drafted two great defenses. That's the best thing I'll say about your draft.
Yeah, he made that trade to get Stevenson, which was, I guess, a 1-for-1 with Olave to try to make up for it. But yeah, just not enough.
No.
All right, G. You want me to break it down for you, and then let me break it down, and then
why don't you break it down? I'll give some commentary. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'll give you a little credit. I think like Eric's team, you could have had something special. It just didn't come together.
Like the
I know you've harped on Cooper Kupp a lot. We'll start with him. I mean,
killed me.
Been the best player in fantasy when he's healthy, and all indicators were that he was back to his old self this year. He still had Stafford, and he sits out 4 weeks to start the year.
That's terrible.
I mean, that's just not the start you wanted. He teases you for 2 weeks, then just absolutely shits the bed. I mean, he scored this past week, like you said, but I mean, without having a first round pick that's elite, like, you're not even going to come close. So you were screwed from the beginning. You went with the Higgins Burrow stack, like not in the first 2 rounds, which I thought was like a nice little poor man stack there. Burrow has stretches where he goes as the QB1, and Higgins, again, he's been up, and he's kind of like a Gabe Davis a little bit, but better. And maybe you thought he could take another leap, but he's just been awful, man. Like, I mean, you got unlucky with the Burrow injury because he was really starting to hit his stride, but
Higgins was just
is terrible.
He was hobbled, man. He was hurt.
Yeah, I agree.
Your two receivers are very good players, but Cooper Kupp, you knew the risk at the draft.
Yeah, he's a gambler.
Higgins, that is a good pick, and it's just unfortunate. Same with Burrow.
Higgins, at least in terms of my draft strategy, I mean, I didn't really foresee the Beeve taking Olave right before me. And I mean, Olave was a guy I was thinking about keeping. I mean, he would have been better than Higgins for sure this season as a number 2. But yeah, that surprised me. And then, Higgins, the rest of those wide receivers were just kind of like an afterthought. I was like, all right, I think I like Higgins. And I knew that Burrow was going to fall to the 4th or 5th, hopefully. And that's where I got him. So yeah, unfortunate there, but I just had a lot of disappointment this year, and pretty much all my players except for essentially two. I mean, Jacobs, solid keeper in
Yeah,
terms of
you
value.
kept Jacobs. He's actually been
He's
solid
been
this
good.
week.
He's
You
picked it
can't
up.
complain about him.
No,
He's not a
not at
top
all.
five running back, but he's been really solid. I mean,
Yeah,
Aaron Jones, he was a
killed it.
guy I wasn't sure of preseason. I mean, he's been
Looks
so
so
good.
good.
And you went for him, and he went off week one.
Looks so
Then he
good.
gets hurt, and really has just been a shell of himself.
Terrible.
You hit on Cook and Pacheco to round
Yeah.
out your running back room, which was pretty nice. But again, those guys are like good secondary pieces.
Caps. Yeah.
You need your studs to handle the load, and then you have those guys just getting 10 to 15 every week. You just didn't have that. You found some decent players later in the draft with Smith Nigga and Dobbs and Rasheed Rice, who you dropped. Thank you for that, because I picked
Yeah.
him up.
Not a good drop.
But those other Smith Nigga, I think he's gonna be a keeper for you.
You could be.
I think
Yeah.
I think they're gonna whether it's DK or probably more so Lockett, but if one of those guys moves on, I think he's really good. So
I agree.
but otherwise, yeah, I think you had some injuries. You just didn't have enough top end firepower to compete. But you have when I was looking at your keepers, you have Cook and Pacheco. If you want a nice little bid around running back.
Traded Cook, but I could have Pacheco
Right.
in 7. Yeah.
And then I think Smith Nigga or Dobbs could be
Romeo Doobies. Yeah, I like Doobies. Yeah.
so
I
anyway.
honestly, injuries, just to round it out. I mean, I've been harping on him. Cooper Kupp was a disappointment. You know, though, woulda, coulda, shoulda with Tyreek or Diggs. All those guys were in that mix. Even Bijan. You know, honestly, at that point, even though I would have taken Kupp over him anyways, but disappointing season. I'm not out of the woods. I could still finish last, so that sucks. I got to go another week of sweating it, but I do have a game in hand on the Snyder, so as long as one of them loses this week, I don't wear the dress again. I've already worn it, so
How many times have you worn it?
just once, thank God.
Are you sure about that?
100%, yeah. The very
Let me
first
ask,
inaugural dress, I wore it at our house. We have video or photos to prove it, but yeah, I've
You
only
wore
come
it
in last
again. You
once.
came in last place, I think, the year after you won, because you came in last
Yeah.
and won.
I know.
And I think you came in last again.
I only came in last once. I swear. I remember how many dresses I've worn in this league or to the drafts. That was the only year that I wore the dress. I've had some bad years. I will say that. That's probably what you remember. But I swear to God, I've only came in last once. So I think the only one that's worn it twice is. Did Rick wear it twice and Aaron wear it twice? I can't remember. One of those two guys wore it twice.
Did you ever think you had hope this year? Were
You know
you
when
ever
I
like feeling?
You know when I thought I had hope was like week 6. I think it was like right when Cup had a good week. Jacobs was starting to look like okay, like maybe a guy. I still had the Aaron Jones thing to deal with. And Joe Burrow was like starting to look a little bit better. So I thought, maybe I could just sneak into the playoffs and just wait, just thinking that, Cup, Jacobs, Burrow, those guys will just kind of lead the pack. But that hope died pretty quick. And every week I'm expecting a loss. I'm averaging 94 points a week. So my team's putrid this year, which sucks. I mean, I have 4 wins. It's a tough year for Green Bull.
Actually, I had a note too, looking like because I was looking at Snyder Eric's team too. I mean, I think he started 0-4, but he had Richardson started going off. So he probably was like around week 4 or 5. Like, all right, I have the best player in the league in Jefferson. I have this insane QB in Richardson coming up. Like Kamara's coming back. And then literally the next week, Richardson and Jefferson get hurt in the same week, mid game, and just dead.
Yeah, literally dead. His only hope is that he can outscore Phil, who's been, and we'll get to it pretty soon here.
Just
not even putting up any
I'm
points.
finished. That's all.
Go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, so Green Bull, I'm just going through some of the past years. You're correct. You only came in last once. You were there at 11 twice, but it doesn't matter. Last year, you must be itching to get back in the playoffs because the last time you were in the playoffs, you had that first round bye,
It was last year.
number 1 seed, goes into the right in the semifinals against the Bastards, and he puts
So
up a 73.
yeah, I remember. Believe me, that was the most anticlimactic finish to a season. I led the league in points. I was dominating last year. Snyder's team was really good. Your team was good. But a putrid performance in the semis
My team was.
Wow, look at that.
was
I'm
solid,
gonna.
though.
You guys keep going. I'm scrolling through all the years here.
Love
I
this.
think Snyder last year, 92 points, won the championship. I want to see if that's the lowest total. Wow. 2018 Finkel, 184 against the Horse Cops.
What a score! I do remember that. I do remember him going off.
Yeah,
man.
here. Yeah.
Damn.
It's 2017. Yeah, Horse Cox there again. Just 98 against the Packers. Green ball. 116.
The Alvin boys kicking the Horse Cox ass.
The Cox never got over the hump.
So he brought his plantation back. All right, we'll recap these weeklies. We'll just do let's just do pick'ems. We don't need to look up matchups. Just look at the rosters, go through the pick'ems quick.
Yeah, then let's talk about the playoff picture because
Yep,
that's
yep.
obviously
We'll do that.
the most
We don't
important
even
thing.
need that'll take over the power rankings. We don't need to do power rankings
Yeah,
anymore.
I like that.
We know who's in it, and who's in the hunt. The only thing that we can note that there's still 3 teams alive for the dress. We'll just leave it at that. You can look at the standings; it's pretty clear cut. Packers have a game in hand. Points are all pretty much even, so it'll be interesting. I get Riggs this week, of course. Not knowing who I played week 14, I don't look that far ahead. I just shit on the Jefferson trade. Still am, and of course he's going to play against me this week. Why not? Why not get Justin Jefferson here for a projection of 18 this week? That'll be fun. Packers may have some question marks. Aaron Jones, Pacheco, got to play one of them. As I noted earlier, you didn't necessarily hear it, Logue. I will say it to you, though.
Yes.
Greenbull and Finkel will be attending the Packers Monday night game in New York. So I'm playing as many Green Bay Packers for Greenbull this week. So it'll be.
Might as well. You really have nothing to lose.
I have everything to lose, but nothing to gain. We'll say that.
What's the big deal? Like,
I'm gonna play. Yeah,
you've already been humiliated wearing the dress, so whatever.
True, it's true.
Yeah, we've seen your cock and your balls. It's fine.
Yeah.
Dude, you've won the league 5 times, so you wearing the dress, like it shouldn't even matter to you. Like I call in one word your season, you missing the playoffs. My word for you is justice.
That's good. I like that.
So to recap real quick, before, I'm going to go take a piss. And the recap here are the 4 eliminated teams. And
I like
one word for each of them. I have Pain Train, Self-Destruction, Nils, Trash, the Packers, Justice, and then Colombian White, Confusion.
Confused. Oh god. Oh, that's great. All right. Well, going to the pick'ems. I can't pick myself here. I haven't really much of the season. The few times I do, I lose anyways. So let's have fun. Let's have a good Packers win Monday night. Looking see J Love and Romeo Dobbs, potentially Aaron Jones play. But I like Riggs here. I just, again, just a little bit too much firepower, I think, in terms of some of the guys like Jefferson. He's gonna feed, I think. Gibbs, William, I don't know. I mean, I guess I have an outside chance, I'll say, but I'm gonna pick Riggs here and hope that he just scores a low total so he can just die in misery with all of us.
I'm not even gonna make a pick because it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
like Riggs need to. What does he need to? I mean, I guess I'll make a pick. I'm picking you. I'm taking the ball back.
There we go, baby.
Let's go. Come on, G. I actually like your lineup this week. I'm not as I mean I have Jefferson in another league. I have to start him. I don't know. I just don't know what to expect. I don't feel confident that he's just gonna blow up.
Yeah.
Um,
He's
but
got
I
to
mean Riggs, like what does Riggs need? Like how many points does he needs a win?
Riggs basically needs to beat
The
probably Ryan's
Bandits.
Ryan's total or the Bandits. He's 30 ahead, well, 25 ahead of the Bandits. He's roughly 30 down to Tiburon. Because record won't really mean anything to those two guys. The Bastards, they're at 8-5. Bandits are at 8-5 too. So I guess 6 points is the record though. So yeah, I guess it would be Tiburon, realistically.
So essentially, what we're looking at, the top 4 seeds are pretty
In.
much it. Like, it's very unlikely. It is possible, I guess, but it's really unlikely that anybody scores that much more than Andy's team this week and passes him in points. So if Andy loses, it's likely still in. So with the remaining teams, Tiburon's leading in the points. I mean, Bastards, the
You're close.
Bandits, like whoever, if I win or if Aaron wins, we're in. But if we lose, we can still get in. It's
Well,
going to be tougher
technically,
for Aaron. Aaron's got 1,000.
Yeah, wait, who does Aaron play?
dude, Aaron's got to be sweating it though, dude. If we think about it, I mean, he plays the
Beaver.
Beeve,
Yeah,
but
which is good for him.
well, I'm saying record wise though, like 6 spots going to go to points, so the record's thrown away essentially. I mean, if he's got to outscore you by 50 if you guys both win, that's a tough outing. I mean, could happen.
Yeah, true. Right.
Because then it'd be between him, Tiburon, and Riggs for points and they were all right there. Tiburon's leading, like I said, Riggs by 30. So really that's the total to kind of shoot for. You're up there too with 1486, even with a loss. Damn, there's a lot of stuff on the line between these 4 teams. I didn't I'm glad we're breaking this down. This is
wild.
interesting.
It's pretty wild.
I just don't see enough from Riggs to outscore
Let's go to Riggs now. This is
Tiburon or Logan by like 30 points.
No, I mean Lockett's been kind of down. Kincaid's been good. Williams is a crapshoot against the Chargers.
Like who's gonna blow up? Like I like all those guys as solid options. I just don't see anyone that's gonna go off.
I don't see him getting more than 120. We'll call it.
Well, you know what's kind of funny?
Right, exactly.
What's kind of funny is I'm looking at this now. I'm 22 points ahead of him right now, Rick. And right now, live update, Zeke Elliott has 22 points.
Jesus. Oh, technically, live update, 24.7. This is live. We're doing a live broadcast right now.
Holy shit.
Thursday night game in the background.
Keep going, baby.
Wow. What a play to play Zeke.
Dude. Yeah, that's nice, Logan.
Well, Robinson Connor was out too. Oh shit! I thought you just bench Connor. No,
especially with like my weaknesses this week, it's much needed.
Damn, Zeke's just catching balls, 7 for 72 and a tutty. That's pretty crazy. Sorry, Ant. That sucks to see on a Thursday night.
Sorry, Ant. He's fucking shut the fuck up.
Well, I'm just saying, as the opponent,
he's getting his money back and he's getting a bye no matter what. He doesn't give a shit. Ant. He should bench his whole team this week, and he'd still win most points.
He very likely will. I think he's like 100 up.
What is his lead in most points? Yeah, no, he's up 140 points.
That's insane. He could really actually sit and still win it.
You know what's crazy? Like, look at the records. This is all down to points essentially. Because if I beat Anthony, I have the same record as him. So like all of these matchups,
very true. Good highlight.
Down to points. Like this is a
even
pretty
Chip Lizard. Yep. Even Chip Lizard could lose.
Dude, I mean, I've got my eye on like every other team rather than my opponent this week because
it's the most important thing. Looking at that, I mean, I would project Riggs. Let's not even go for the projection. Let's just talk about the playoff picture. We might as well. I mean, all the other matchups don't really matter. I mean, RB's probably going to win. I mean, that's the only thing to highlight. And if he wins and Chip Lizard loses, and everyone's at 9-5, he clearly is the highest point total by far with everyone underneath Anthony. So he would lock up the 2 seed without even questioning.
I can get the bye, but I would need the Blizz. I would need the Blizz to lose and outscore him, and Arby's to lose. But
yeah.
I mean, Colombian White is projected for 71 right now.
There's
so
no quarterback.
I'm not feeling too good about that right now.
He has no quarterback to play this week. The options out there are not great either. Stafford. I mean, there was a couple guys that were out there. Gino. I think Gino's still out there, or maybe Gino's not out there. I don't remember.
How about we just not bring any attention to it and let him play Kyler Murray? Because we all know the rule. If you start a player on bye, it doesn't matter if you're eliminated. You're out. You're out.
That's true.
Whoa. Is that a rule?
Yeah. You got to set your lineup every week.
We've done that. We've done it for everybody.
And there's no excuse.
All the cuts we've made.
Yeah, there's no excuse about having a guy on a bye in your lineup. That's all we're going to say.
No.
We'll leave it at that.
That's been a core aspect of this league. Right. We've kicked out many players. Turk did it one time. Gone. Let him back. He did it again one time. He's gone.
Sammy Piazza. Gone. Did the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's looking very likely that Arby's has the number 2 spot. Well, actually, no, because he needs Ship Lizard to lose. Oh, I didn't realize Ship Lizard
Arby's going to finish
over him.
So Arby's will say this: Arby's is going to finish no worse than 3.
Right.
Technically, Anthony could finish 2, but he's going to get a bye. So we'll say those are the 2 definites. Ship Lizard doesn't have the bye locked up. He could finish 1. He could finish 3.
Case. Yeah, worst case he finishes 4.
Or 5.
Probably.
Jesus,
or 5. Yeah, he could drop to because Logan
Masters could catch him. Yeah.
Logan could.
I'm saying you could catch. Technically, you could catch Ship Lizard if he loses.
Right.
Just based off of points. That shuffle is insane. Wow.
The shuffle could be really insane. Unprecedented.
I mean, this is a crazy finish. I mean, outside of the 4 managers we talked about, I mean, Riggs is still in the hunt. He's got a good chance. I mean, he's gonna at least get a win. He just needs a shit ton of points. He's gonna beat me. Yeah, Bandits are gonna get a win. That'll be big for him, but he's the low man on points overall. So that'll be interesting. He has 6 right now. I think he played New England's D, right? Let's go into here. Yeah, New England's D.
Tiburon, like he could beat me this week and get in on record, or if he loses, he would be the 6th seed right now. So,
yep,
yeah, this is wild.
Yeah, think about like next year if we do potentially implement the 7 seeds, like this would still be an absolute scramble. This wouldn't add like really any clarity. There's still 7 teams that are locked up and Riggs sitting on the outside,
right?
Looking in, but close. Yeah.
That's why, I mean, it might be a good time to talk about it. That's why I think that like this league has had too many years in a row where there's been maybe 1 or 2 or 3 teams that do deserve a shot. I mean,
that's fair. Yeah.
If we're going by points, I like top 6 records and then give the next one the points. Like, I think that's.
Yeah, I like that too.
It feels weird looking at all of this top 5 on record only. It's kind of weird. It should be top 6 record. It just feel better than give only one person the bye. One person.
We've definitely had. I know when Anthony, either the year after or the year before he won it, he was like 5-8 or something like that, but he had a shit ton of points, and that's how he got the 6th seed. So it does suck to kind of rob someone that was maybe a 7-6 team. So yeah, I agree. I think
that's why I think it needs to be in, because if Anthony or whoever has 2
it's happened. That's just an example. You're right, but yeah,
and everybody at the top is say even all these teams win this week, 9 wins and you miss the playoffs doesn't seem right.
Yeah, which could happen, which is really ridiculous.
Yeah, the odds are the
Happen.
bottom
Yeah.
6 would be like even or less. So they deserve to miss.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a good. We'll see at the draft. I don't see why anyone wouldn't want to vote an extra chance of getting into the playoffs because anything can happen.
What do you mean? What do you mean at the draft? What are you talking about?
Prior to the draft, I guess. I don't know. Do we vote on? Are we voting on it soon?
Excuse me? What do you mean? When do we draft? When do we
Oh,
vote it?
pre-draft, I guess. Pre-draft, pre-draft, whatever.
Yeah,
You know what I mean.
let's make this announcement now. So all the confusion in this league about rules and votes, let me be clear.
There we go.
There's a goddamn Google Drive that the Google
Well,
it's
That
all
no one had
on the Google
access
Drive.
to.
And the reason we now
I
do
did have access to it. I will say that.
we do but regardless, with voting on rules, it has to be now and going forward through some sort of electronic voting platform,
I
whether
agree.
what we're doing now with Google Sheets, whatever. It is easier, it's more convenient, gives you time to think about it. You're not all there drinking 6-7 gooses deep, and then you have to vote on something when you're catching up with some guy you haven't seen in 6 months. It's too much of the draft, and it should never happen again. It's always before. And here's the true announcement. We are going to now be moving to 2 separate motion voting extravaganzas.
Wow. You heard it first here.
Breaking news on the Other League
10th Other League podcast.
And we're just
let's take another break for our sponsor here.
Guys are ripping them.
All right.
Logan's buzzing, baby.
So real quick on these 2 voting processes, this is important. Put a fucking thing in the thumbnail where people can go to this.
Got that, Snai? You're uploading it for us.
So at the end of the season, 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever, we'll start the conversation shortly after it's all over. We're going to vote on emotions. I'll give a whole, let's say 2 week process, 2 week think over period. Like what do we want to change for next year? And you send it to me, same way we always do. And we do a round of voting for postseason. It's better. Everything is fresh in the head. You're going to forget it come 6, 7, 8 months down the road and we have to vote on this shit again. We're not going to remember what pissed us off or what might make the league better, just more fun, whether it's payouts or who knows. Postseason and preseason. Preseason, like always, same shit. However, one big kicker here. If something is, say, voted in postseason, something like, let's use, for example, the 2 wins or, 2 losses per week, that motion to do 2 wins potentially in a week.
Sure.
If the vote is so close, less than 75% of the league. So if it's like, just 1 vote, tipped it over, then we're going to allow that to be voted on again prior to the season. It'll be voted again. So it gives time for everybody to talk about it and what they really want. So you get another chance at it. But anything over 75% of the vote, yay or nay, not eligible for a voting process or a motion.
Revote.
Yes.
Okay.
Not eligible.
Allows you have 6 months to manipulate.
That's right.
Some other managers to change their vote. That's smart.
That's right.
That's smart.
That's right. And I
see
think other people try my trick.
I love it.
I actually do like that. That I think there is some things that we've talked about in the past where during the season we're like, I probably would have voted on that now that it was explained. So I think that gives some guys our right to kind of text and say, hey, this is why I would vote for, why you might have brought it to the table. So I like that. I like that take. There's already things that we've been talking about too. I mean, there's
voting will be done prior to the end of the NFL season, meaning the Super Bowl. So it will be at the latest that week, but probably earlier.
Wow. So good thing you saved this till the end of the pod. So now everyone has to either fast forward or listen to the whole thing to get to this breaking news. So this is
Snyder is going to put a thumbnail in there. Click it.
Yeah, we'll just tell them the minute that we were at when we actually said that for the league. But yeah, I like it. I think that's a good takeaway. I think we should go into who do you vote? Let's just run down here at the end. Who's your top 6 playoff seeds? Who do you think's going to get in? We know a few, but there's a lot of ambiguity with like going on here. So gotta make a pick.
Ambiguity.
Ambiguity.
You know what I meant.
Yeah, I
There's a
love
I
lot-
it.
think
There's a lot of question marks as to who's going to make the last 3 seeds. We'll say.
Well, how
The
about
top-
we just say the top 4? We'll do top 4. We don't. You know what?
do
Forget
6? Do 6.
Let's do 6. Do power rankings.
All right. So Anth's in. I'll start if you guys can echo if you want. Anth's in. Probably the number 1 seed. Even with points, even with a loss, it's probably the number 1 seed realistically. Actually, I guess Blizzard could catch him. Anyways, I'm going to say Finkel's 1. I'm going to say Ship Blizzard
Well-
finishes 2.
Let me put this out here real quick. I say the 3 of us right now, we bet $10 on this, all 3 of us, and we put our top 6. Who's going to be in the playoffs, and what are the seeds going to be? And whoever has the most correct wins.
Okay, that's fine. I'll go through my 6 and I'll go in order.
Go in
Let's
let's do
order.
it.
Go in
Kind
order.
of does the pickums for you. So I got Finkel at 1. I got Ship Blizzard at 2. I got to go. Based on points, he's not going to finish lower than 3. He's going to beat Phil. We got to beat 3 Arby's. Dre, I'm going to go with you at 4. So top 4 for me is pretty locked up. Bastard is going to get a loss based on my projection, so he'll be 8 and 6. Bandits will be.
I love that, Gio. I
know you
hate
do.
when you give me the kiss of death.
8 and 6. I voted for you last week and you won. Bandits are going to win, so they'll be 8 and 6, but they're going to lose on points. Tiburon going to lose. He'll be out, but he could get in with points.
He's gonna lose. It's over.
Tiburon. No, it's not over. But nothing's over. I'm going to go 5. I'm going to go 5 with the Bandits based off of record. I'm projecting them to win, and I'm projecting you to lose. So got Bandits at 5, and I'm going to say the Bastards get in at 6 on points.
Yes.
That's my 6.
So Tiburon is out.
Tiburon's out because Tiburon's going to lose. I project this week. That's just my thing against you, and on points, I think he's got a good start this week already. The Bastards with Zeke, he's going to put up some points this week in a loss, but he'll still put up some points.
All right.
I just need points, Gia. I'm fine for your little baby brother to beat me this week.
I mean, if I'm just projecting record, I mean, if I take Anthony at 1, he has to win this week. If I'm projecting him and Ship Blizzard to win, so go ahead. Anyways, that's my explanation.
Yeah, I think we
Gotta do by record
Logue.
too.
I
Yeah.
want to dive into Logue, your team a little bit. Obviously, you're getting a little bit of a help here with Zeke, but got crushed last week. Tanked out. Christian Kirk. Now Taysom Hill's hurt. Schultz is hurt. You're starting 2 tight ends. How are you feeling right now?
It's worked for him.
I'll stay with the positive here. I'm 2-0 when I've started 2 tight ends in my lineup this year. So let's see what happens
That's
here.
that.
All right. I like that.
Superstitious.
I mean, you do still like I'm looking at your potential lineup next week. You have Connor coming back. Jeez, but yeah, Brian Robinson. He's probably not going to make it back. So
Yeah, that's what Luke said earlier.
but I mean, you could stack the
forget.
2. You could stack the 2 tight ends again, and then move Amari in for Mingo. Like, I mean, you'll still have a lineup that's good enough to win a playoff game. So it's not like you're totally out, but That hurts, man. I don't know if you have enough to win three matchups in a row.
And I don't need the matchup. I don't. I just need to score more than Tiburon. That is my ultimate goal. Tiburon's my biggest
Just
threat.
get in. Yeah.
If I
Get in,
lose,
baby.
yeah, it doesn't matter. Like I think Wet Bandits is going to win this week, so
Me too.
uh, it'll be
You
interesting.
think yeah, the Bandits.
To me, they play the beat.
You
I
want to
mean,
you want to go next, Log, or you want me to go?
go, gentlemen.
You go.
All right, I'm putting Finkel 1, taking Blizzard 2, Arby's 3, Plantation 4.
Okay, well, we're chalk there.
I think all 4 of us are gonna win, and nothing's gonna change. This is where it gets tricky. Yeah, the Bandits do look like they're gonna win, so they jump up to 5.
Yep.
Potentially.
Oh,
The Bandits at 5. All right, who's your 6th seed?
did you have Bandits at 5 too?
Yeah, and I put the Bastards. I mean, if you're projecting
man.
certain guys to win, that's kind of how it's going to shake out with win losses and then points.
Oof.
Who you got? This is really only 2.
I'm putting Tibbs in the 6th seed.
Wow,
Sorry, Luke.
Tiburon.
I want
I
that.
mean, you have a good start.
What would this end? What would this end? The 10-year, 12-year
Man.
playoff run?
10 years.
Wow.
It's 11. It's 11. 11 years. So there's 11-year streak. So this is year 12.
This is something.
I'm trying to
This is
make
something.
my 12th year in a row for the playoffs.
This is a storyline that's brewing.
It is.
So we're the exact same except the 6th seed. I have Tibbs. You have
Yep.
Bastards.
I got it written down. All right, Bastards.
All right, Lug.
Who you got?
You're the man. What do you got?
I'll tell you what I got. I've got number 1, Shit Blizzard.
Wow. He's projecting himself to win.
Number 2, Finkel.
Yep.
At a record of 9-5.
Yeah, we get it. Shit Blizzard, you projected to win. You projected Anthony to lose. Gotcha. All right, come on.
I've got Arby's.
Yep.
3. Into the 4 seed, I have the Bastards.
Wow.
At 5, I have got Tiburon.
Wow.
And at 6, I've got Plantation.
So, I mean, realistically, the only question I would have is that do you have Tiburon scoring 50 more points than Andre? Because Andre's wow, all right. That's a bold projection.
Dude, I'll take $10.
Yeah, thanks for the free money. That was fun.
Yeah,
do it next week.
Let's go. You buy a little extra popcorn at MetLife this weekend.
That'll cover a beer. $10. There we go.
Half a beer, not a full beer, like a small beer.
12-ounce clear plastic cup of beer. Just $12 there. it'll cover.
I mean, look, I'll give you your take is bold. I'll give you that.
You had me at the first 3. You lost me with the Bastards at 4. But hey, I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible.
I'm putting it into the universe. I'm telling it what to do, and I'm manipulating the universe. You think it's fun for me to manipulate you idiots? No. It's
you
boring.
get great pleasure out of it.
I'm moving on to a cosmic scale with my manipulation. You'll see. You'll see.
Gee, I have a question for you as a just a bystander here. Obviously, I think Finkel. I'll put Rick in there because he's been hot, and Arby's, and maybe I mean I have a lot of firepower too.
This is
But I know Logan's had a lot of injuries, Bandits like too, and without Burrow with Chase, and then Tibbs losing Andrews. Like, do you think
the top three. The top three are going to be really tough to beat on a week in, week out basis. I mean, Arby's is putting up ridiculous amount of points every week. He's won most points, like I said, 5 times, throughout the season in terms of weeklies. Ant's going off. Ship Blizzard is so fucking hot. I mean, his team is as complete as it can be now that Williams is back. But all those guys we just talked about that could get in, besides Riggs, I don't even want to talk about Riggs anymore. Tiburon up, all have good teams. And any week you guys can go off. So, as we said in the playoffs, I mean, look at me last year. I had a dud semifinal. I put up 70 points, and I was the most, by far, kind of like Anthony, the most points in the league, number 1 seed. So, anything can happen in the playoffs. Guys can get hurt. It's, I would say the top 3 are it's kind of chalk, but those are easily the best rosters, I think, from top to bottom. And then the next 3 guys are, it's a crapshoot from there. I mean, Arby's or Shiplers is going to not get a bye. So one of those rosters is going to be at least on the chopping block in the quarters. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who. I think the least favorite I'd like to play is Arby's, and then
and he's the last guy, like I said, that I
mean,
want to see win it. As I said earlier, out of all the guys, and there's a few guys in here that have some championships, including the Bandits, which is pretty wild. And Tiburon, does he have a title since we went to 12 man? I don't know. I can't remember. Is he on that trophy list? Okay. So maybe some first time champions obviously out there potentially. So the last guy that I want to see win, who's going to make the playoffs, he's a lock, is Arby's. He's going to make the playoffs no matter what he does this weekend. He's got the points. I do not want to see him win. I think he won it twice already, so this would be his 3rd. So he's creeping.
Tiburon won in 2015, so that's correction.
Okay. I did think he had 1, so yeah.
I felt like I was wrong, yeah.
That was when I think Ben came in last, I believe.
That's actually when he beat me in the finals.
Or maybe he came in last to present it to Ben. That's the order I have, because I remember seeing that picture in that precious Google Doc that we have going around the league now.
That's right.
But yeah, it's going to be tough, Dre. I mean, I think those 3 teams. I mean, where do you see any weaknesses, even on point totals? I mean, and Rick's team's fully stocked up now, but from top to bottom. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The seedings are going to be crazy too. I mean, we're just projecting the top 6, but there's a dance up top. I mean, the only one that's a surefire bye is Anthony. So, man, I can't wait to get back on the pod next week when the matchups are out and see where kind of landed too.
Let's do this real quick. Give us everybody does their the worst possible champion that personally to you, who you really don't want to see win. And then the next is the guy that you'd be kind of happy for.
Sure. I'll start it. I think the worst possible guy to win is Arby's. I already said it again. Or Riggs. If Riggs somehow sneaks into the playoffs, there's so much hatred for Riggs and what he's done this season. There's no way I can.
You got to give one here, Jay. Relax. Just give one.
All right. Sorry, I'm just naming 12 managers.
I know,
including myself.
Go.
All right, Arby's is my least. Hold on, I'll go right now. And who would I be happy to see win it? It's one of my 2 guys that are on the show this week. I'd be happy to see the Bastards win it.
Fuck you.
Fuck you, G.
I really will. I didn't even like that response.
I don't want your fucking pity.
12 playoff runs and no championships. Be nice to see you get one.
I'm just fine. Don't worry about me, Gia.
I take it back now.
Awesome.
I'd like Andy to see.
Yeah, good.
See the title.
Good. I like that answer better.
Yeah, I think again, Arby's. I don't even know why. I love Arby's. I like his team. I just don't want to see him win.
It's the franchise.
Arby's.
Yeah, franchise.
Really is. And just the lack of activity. I don't want to see it.
No trades.
I think Rick. I'd love to see
Okay.
Rick make the leap. I think he's had a resurgence this year. He's been really engaged with. He hit on Puka. I like
Good
that.
pick.
Got
Yeah.
got Kyron trade for him. He's really fired up. I'd love to see him make a run. And then I mean Finkel too. It would be nice to just see the team that actually
Dominate.
dominates, just finish the job
Yeah,
and win like he
I agree.
should, like he deserves to.
Yeah, I didn't actually know
Uh,
that points against note until Snyder pointed it out. I know Anthony's had some close matchups, but yeah, I mean the points against is insane too. The fact that I mean, if you would say that that was your points against, you're clearly what 1491's the next, no 1554 Creek has it. I mean, almost
yeah, I think
75
with
points more. That's crazy.
it's just going back to Arby's. I love you, Arby's. I his overconfidence in his players. I always just wanted to backfire on him at some point,
It's
and it hasn't. It's come to fruition for him. So, and his team is really nice. So I want to see it just collapse and
That
then
would
say,
be
"We told you so."
that would be nice. That would be nice. I do have two different answers for my
nice. Okay.
yeah, my least favorite, my least and my meh. But I will say I'd be happy for this guy. I'd be happy for the Wet Bandits. He's a good
Wow.
he's a good member of the league. He's active. He talks in the group chat a lot. Even though some of it might be yelling up at the king, I always respect it. He should know that. I respect it. Even though I might think you are simple-minded, I still like having you around. So I hope you get one if I don't. And my least is Andre's plantation.
Wow. You're right.
Oh,
That's a
all
good pick
right.
by you.
Like that.
It's like every parent's nightmare seeing your child be better than you at sports. It's torture. I brought you into this league, this world, and if you get it before me, then I'm just gonna have to
Oh,
end it all. The league will be done. I'll take it. I'll take it like Alex Green took it.
Thank God.
You have to
Thank
call
that,
God we,
yeah,
Yahoo.
yeah,
that would be
thank,
tough.
thank God we have a member of our league that's experienced with recovering leagues, including this one. So yeah, I think we'd be fine. But that's
I
hilarious
mean,
take though.
if it makes you feel better, I think my team is like my team most years. It's solid. There's a lot of hope, and it just never comes together. That's kind of how I feel. So
Speaking
I don't think I'm gonna win.
speaking candidly, and cut this. Don't let anybody else hear this.
Wait, should I
I
end the pod?
no, I'm fucking around. Andy does sort of like I feel like I deserve it. I think Andy deserves it too because he is always there. His name is always in the finals. He's actually been there more than me, I believe. My
Oh,
playoff
really?
streak, yeah, sure, but he's had more powerhouse teams, so he probably is the more deserving manager than me. But I deserve it too. God damn it!
Yeah.
It really is so weird. I was talking to Arby's about, I mean, for all of us, like, dude, Logan, like, we've dominated lube
Mhm.
forever and like can't win in this league. And then you have, I mean, Gio, you won 2 years ago, didn't you?
I won lube a couple years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, or literally Arby's can't make the playoffs. Like he can't
That's
make,
tough. It's
and his
crazy.
teams are good. He just can't in lube for how many years? He hasn't even come close to winning. And I don't know, like what is it? It's just different leagues and different. I
It's
don't know what it is, but this
it's
league
weird,
we
dude.
just look, we just can't get over the hump in this league, man.
I
I don't
know.
know what it is.
Usually you can kind of understand it with like maybe like an injury or something. It's more difficult when you have years like my team where all my studs just randomly put up that's more annoying where they just disappear. When you're getting injuries and you're kind of fighting through the year, it's easier to handle. So
True.
going back to Ben and Lube, he never gets these injuries. He has great teams, and he'll just miss the playoffs. Like, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
It,
he might have most points this year and miss the playoffs.
That's insane. That is
In a
insane.
10-team league. Six
that
teams make the playoffs. It's absurd.
That's tough. That's a
dude,
tough scene.
that pisses me off hearing that. That's a possibility. That sucks. That
There's so
sucks.
It
many.
really does
There's
suck.
there's so many factors that, obviously the luck factor is huge. There's that anyone says that there's no luck involved is full of shit. There is some serious luck involved on certain junkyard garbage time moments where guys are racking up some points and those couple points end up winning you a week. I mean, there is a lot of luck involved. I mean, you have to have a good team to get there, but I
Well,
don't know. There's gonna
this
be
is
3 or 4
why.
managers that maybe never won one. I think, right? I mean, there's potential for
Has
that.
Anthony won one?
Yeah, he won.
Yeah, he won a couple years ago. Yep,
Yeah, the year I was just talking about.
2018. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Well, this is
So
why
if
we
he
need to either.
if he gets devastated this year, at least he still has one.
he's got one. Yeah, he's got one.
This is why we need to move to either 7 teams, although I might be more in favor of doing something like the double wins, like a 2, like you go against the median, right? Like the top 6, whoever has the most points gets a win.
I mean,
Bottom
yeah,
6.
I that's such a big move, but just based off of like the average of the points, is that what you're saying the second matchup is? I don't know. That's a tough one for me because it's such a week to week thing when you're just playing one manager that I don't know. There could be an interesting take in terms of the 7 teams and like maybe the last seed is based off of that record instead of the points since we paid points out. I don't know. I mean,
I
that's
think you
definitely
said
something.
I think you said Snyder's back next week, but I'll run that analysis and I'll give you a standings if we
I
had done that just to see. I'm curious because I honestly feel like the standings this year are pretty close as far as like
agree.
talent.
I would
I
say
mean
that
Bandits would probably be down. Tiburon would be a little higher. I mean, I bet Tiburon and Bandits would be swapped, and that would
I would
maybe be the only change.
I would lose every week this year if we did the average because the average is probably like 115 or 120 probably I'm guessing because like I'm got to be the low man I'm averaging like 95 points and Ant's the high man at what 140 something or 140 right
Well, then
so
that kind of says that you don't deserve it. Then you deserve kind of all these losses. Then, like,
well
sure, they're
yeah
Right.
going to be getting lucky with a few points here and there. It already happens. But this way, at least, if you did end up going off and you had 140 fucking points, and you've been like
sure
sneak bit, you got your 0-6, then you put up 140. Then the guy next that you're playing against 145. There's no
sure
consolation in that. You can't like, and it's already too late with like the
so would
total
we
points.
would you implement that the second record is only for the last seed essentially is that what we're going to factor in
We went to a 2 every week is 2 wins or
sure
home 2. Um, it would get rid of the last seed being all points.
just
It
points
uh
okay.
because you're already rewarding points. You're already
Sure.
getting
Yeah,
every
I
week.
get that. I mean, that would I would probably vote for because I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't necessarily want it to affect my week to week, but
Right.
if we're throwing in the last seed is whoever had
No, what
against the average.
it would affect every week. But at the end of the
I
day,
understand that, yeah.
yeah.
But if my
There's some
record, what I'm saying is, if my actual record is 8-5, but my overall, win against the median was like I don't know 5-8, we'll say that number really necessarily wouldn't affect me if I was in the top 6 spots. Is
right.
what I'm saying. So
Exactly.
yeah, so I would vote for that because all it's doing is replacing most points after the first 6 seeds. That's a pretty reasonable.
Wait, is that how you're saying it, Log, or you're saying you would use that to just create the standings?
It would be going on record only then because you reward points every week. Every week.
Yeah. So Gio's wrong. Like the
I,
overall record would be the
my
playoffs
overall
would be the
record
top
would
seed based on record, and instead of there being 13, instead of being 9-4 or 10-4, you'd be
Double it.
third.
Say double it.
Yeah, you double
28.
it, right? Yeah,
oh
exactly.
okay So little, yeah, that's not how I was explaining it. So yeah, you're right.
You're
Okay.
incorporating points almost into like every week, and then the top 6 seeds based on record would get in at the end because
So
you're
the mat.
incorporating points along the way.
Okay. Yeah, I
Exactly.
mean, it's a take, it's a vote. I mean, I don't. I'm on the fence initially thinking about it, but again, I don't. I'd have to kind of do the behind the scenes like thinking and mapping out because I mean, on a year like this, I mean, I don't know. I mean, this would have been super tight. I think even more so for the top 7, but the bottom seeds would be it'd be a clusterfuck at the bottom. You went against the
It
average.
depends on how many points. I mean, it rewards you. Like if you just
Sure. I mean,
keep
you're right.
losing, even though you're scoring a lot of points, like just like Arby's. Like think about Arby's team, or I'm sorry, the Shitters team in Lube. Like
Fair.
he would have a winning record right now if he went by like how many points he scored every week too. If you add all that in,
Yeah. I mean,
it
I
does
think it's
reward him. But
The only
yeah, it's a totally
downside of
different
it
take.
is the only downside of it is if you believe in having a team that sucks but gets lucky a bunch of weeks and somehow sneaks in the playoffs on
Sure.
record, you're basically just eliminating that from it by doing this, which I believe you should reward the best teams to
right.
get in.
In the
So,
best, right, the best teams that are scoring points, right? So, and it's not
right, yeah.
strictly on points because you could still get lucky and get that one win per week or whatever, against some
Yeah.
line.
True.
But I think like Arby's would probably say it's a matchup based game. So if you win your matchups, even if they're shitty, like a win's a win. Which I get that
Yeah, there's
side of
two.
it
There's
too.
two.
But
Yeah.
Right.
I
So
mean, that's the
you get
takeaway
that.
for sure. Yeah.
I mean, you get it though. If you win, you get a fucking win. You're not going like
true.
I don't know where, the matchups are going. It is a matchup. We're adding in another matchup against everybody. So it's like pretty
Yeah.
cutthroat and interesting. So
Yeah.
it's really 2 matchups per week.
Yeah. I
One
mean,
against your
it's
opponent, one against
two
everybody else.
takeaways. Yeah. Yeah. There's the RB side of it where it's one matchup that matters. Points then at the end is kind of what you're riding on, and then yeah, to your point, I mean, it does put a totally different spin on the weekly matchup because you're really, I mean, you're always rooting for points. I mean, no, I don't think anyone else is
Dude, it
just
just like
rooting to
think about
win.
that week where like if you score 180 and like imagine you're going against a guy
Yeah.
that
Sure.
gets 100, 100. You get a win there, then you also get most points. You get that fucking bonus money. You get 2
Mhm.
wins. Like that's ultimate. Like it feels great.
Sure.
So
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think it's
it's
something to consider. I think we're definitely at least moving to 7 team if that doesn't pass because we need to
Yeah.
get
I agree.
reward the
I think
record.
seven. I think seven's going to pass, maybe unanimously. I mean, I don't know why anyone would vote not to add an extra playoff team, especially in a 12-man, and the fact that like, yeah, you're in the running. I mean, I would. I didn't even sniff the top 7 teams this year, but regardless, I mean, if I was on the cusp, I would vote for it. Like, I'm sure the guys that are right there. I mean, I'm sure everybody thinks that way. I mean,
Yeah, I think that's
seven,
a no
an
brainer.
extra
I'm actually
guy.
kind
Yeah,
of pissed we haven't done that for years. That should
Yeah.
have been in place a long time ago.
no,
That rule.
It's
I love
it
that.
probably will be.
it'll be because it must be recorded. It will be on the postseason um motion.
Just make the call, Lo. You're the commissioner. Stop being a little pussy.
All right, everybody. Next year, we're moving to 7 team playoffs. 7th seed of the least of the top 6. Whoever has the most points of those, you're in.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be too much rebuttal there. Oh
And I
Jesus.
now hereby declare this active.
Perfect. And he's got his
Yeah.
fork. And the bastards have their sword. Just gotta get my green pack.
All right, what weapon would you rather have? A heavy, huge sword or a nice little ninja pitchfork in battle?
I'm taking the sword every time. There's not even a doubt.
Really?
Over a pitchfork?
Well, like I feel like you'd have to wind up to swing it, and I'd just jab you.
I mean,
There's
Be done.
I could cut you so like fiercely with that sword. You're just gonna maybe stab me. Maybe.
I just think it's so heavy. I don't
Longer
think
reach.
you'd have the speed. Oh, you do have the reach. I'll give you
That's a
that.
long reach. Yeah.
The answer is if you're more skilled in battle, you take the pitchfork. The inexperienced
Okay.
take that sword. The pitchfork, use the butt of it. You fucking come in. Ask
Yeah.
Snyder about it. He took some classes about it. Vince, bro,
Logan's
he's
been what's that game you've been playing, Logan? I feel like you have so much more battle expertise since playing that.
dude. I have, yeah. I'm blocking. I'm dodging. I'm jumping. I'm stabbing. I'm
That game is
slicing.
so insane.
I'm faking out.
Oh, that's
Chivalry
awesome.
2. This meeting is brought to you by Chivalry 2. Get out there and fight.
Had a lot of good sponsors over the last couple of weeks. Boys, I mean, I'm pretty intrigued and excited to see where everything shakes loose next week. It's gonna be fun to do the playoff, even though I'm not in it. It'll be fun to do the playoff previews and talk some shit and see where everything. I like the seedings are gonna be interesting too. I mean, who's hot coming into it? Who's trending up? Who's
I
sitting
mean,
out watching the games?
the
Next,
the pick'ems in the playoffs are going to be tough. They're all going to
Yeah,
be like toss-ups.
yeah. It's gonna be
so
interesting too.
let's
With like, we didn't talk about the Fab either. I mean, because that might play a factor. I mean, I don't think there's gonna be any studs that are gonna come out of the free agents, but hey, there's some. I mean, Anthony's got $45 still. I think he's got the highest total, so he'll have a fresh start to whoever pops in the playoffs possibly.
Yeah, he could steal whoever he wants too.
I mean, it's probably gonna be all trash, but you never know.
So I'd like to say for next week preview, I'm not going to be a co-host as that's not my thing. I have many important business related items to take care of with other league business. So next week we will review the playoffs and we will do our pick'ems and we will pick throughout the entire playoffs. We'll do it right away. We're
Yep.
gonna our predictions, and of course, every week will be reassess like what was our prediction at the beginning, and that'll be another $20 for everybody who wants in. Everybody in the
All
league is
right.
eligible for that.
Ooh, that would be fun. Yeah, all right, I like that.
We will have a shaming.
Dude, we should do like let's do like a March Madness style pool
I like
Right.
that.
where
We'll set that up.
any win
Yeah,
you
we'll
get a
set that
point
up.
and everyone
And we'll
throw 10
we'll
bucks
track
in.
it on here. We'll track it on here. Yeah, I love
Good
that.
idea.
That's
That's a good idea, and we will do that. I will put something together and send it to the league. We'll do a
love
March
that.
Madness style, and for fun, we'll do it also for the losers bracket. That'll also be something we can do, and it'll
So
be
I don't know. I
ending
don't want
and
to bet. I don't want to bet on those
yeah,
losers.
we'll do the winners. But on a side note, so I think losers, we still are doing the constellation. They can't pick up anybody off the waivers, but if you win, kind of sort of like this past year went, you essentially get more balls and the chance at the highest pick. Okay. All right. I like that. I
I
like that.
do. Wait, to clarify for you guys, you can add players, just not during the waiver period. Is that correct? Because I think that's happened in the past.
Okay. That might be what we did. I don't
Is
remember.
that the rule, Oak?
that is correct. You cannot bid during the waiver period. You have Wednesday after 12 is what we said. So it's until 12 p.m. You cannot make a move. You let them take their time
I
and
like that. That's a great, perfect rule. Yeah,
you
it's
get the
good.
fucking scraps. You don't get to stay up till 5 and wait till everything clears, or you don't get to live in China and be in a completely different fucking body clock than us.
The Ryan rule.
The Ryan rule. Ryan, call the cops.
The start of the absolute spiral from our former commissioner. So yeah, let's try to avoid that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, dude. Yeah. It's called the Ryan rule clause.
Oh god, that was insane. Oh man. Good memory, I guess. But yeah, insane.
And also, I think we should start putting together some league awards. We don't need to do all of them. We can
I like
keep
that
them.
suggestion.
So I think at least for next week should be hottest team in the playoffs, hottest team. And also who was the most snake bitten this year? And it's not just eliminated teams either. It's
Okay.
all
I like
because
that
you
too.
could have somebody that's in the playoffs fighting and maybe even winning. They were the most snake bitten. So let's review it, see who got
Sure.
fucked most.
I like these. These are some add some things to the segment because we're not going to review the final week. We're just going to talk about the playoffs. So we need to put some material into next week.
Yeah, I mean it's the playoffs. It's more after what 4 people be interested after week 1 of the playoffs. So
That's
then
true.
then 2 people.
That's valid.
Not as exciting. What are you fighting for? Nothing.
Nothing. Avoid putting a presentation together is what I'm looking at next week. So
Look,
all right.
I just refreshed. It looks like Deontay Johnson had 2 catches on the last drive. I got some garbage points. Logan, you ended at 27. That's nice.
Wow.
Very good. Very good.
The beef didn't do shit. So looking good for the Bandits. And Arby's got 4 out. I mean, it doesn't even matter. Arby's is gonna win.
Yeah.
So, damn, Logan. I will say you might have the most intriguing matchup. Just now, you have a 27 in there. You have Kamara going. Like, can you take down Anthony? I guess I don't
He
know.
He needs
Man.
points. He needs points too, though. That's the big thing. Because what you'd be at actually, I don't know. Never mind. I lied
No,
because you'd be at 9-5.
if I win, I'm in.
Yep. I'm
So
forgetting the records now because I don't have it up. But yeah. That's
wrong.
that'd be
Just
interesting.
wrong.
Wrong again. Another
Wrong
thing I'm wrong
again.
about.
Yeah, not
Oh,
great. Now
geez.
Anthony has Goddard back, so literally has no holes in his
I don't think
lineup.
I'd be surprised if Goddard puts up 0. I'll say that.
Well, if there's something I'm good at doing, it's finding holes.
Been filling them. Been filling them quick.
If he's got holes, I'll fucking find these.
All right, boys. I'm gonna
All
wrap.
right. Yeah,
All right.
dude,
Hell of an episode.
I've had to piss for like 75 minutes. It's been
Yeah.
brutal.
Same.
Oh, also on next
Yeah.
week's show, we will have live in my frog Pitchfork versus Greatsword.
Wow. Loser.
Live action.
Loser isn't
Live
on the
action.
pod next week. He's dead.
This will be the battleground right in here.
To the death.
This will be the
gents.
battleground.
All right.
Hell of an up.
Yeah, thanks for having us, G.
Yeah, of
you're
course.
a great
That's
host,
great.
man.
We try. I'm gonna try to get that word ambiguity next week. Try it again. Maybe we'll be a little less stoned for it.
That one just didn't come through appropriately.
It got stuck. It just
you had it. Giggity. You just kind of froze up. You got a little nervous. You got nervous.
Once I stumbled upon it, it was over at that point. It was
Oh,
never going to come out right.
You stumbled upon it, all right.
As soon as you said "amba," you started questioning yourself.
I'm like, ambidextrous?
And then you glitched.
Ambigiggity. It was so.
I had a good. It was taken out.
It was so bad that it seemed like it was.
That's honestly how we were trying to play off. Yeah, it was good.
I was like, ooh, that was a good recovery. Wait a minute. No, he actually did fuck that up.
So quick. I just had to finish the word. And then it didn't even come out right again. So it was a double fuck up. But hey. You get to the end of the pod, you have a good laugh at this.
Man.
That's all.
All right, boys.
All right, boys.
Have a great night, boys.
Hey,